So the other day, several people went missing down here. There were city workers, and they vanished without a trace. I'm a detective, and my partner and I both were assigned to the case. After some digging, we found a lot of odd text messages that the workers sent to their family members. We didn't think much of it, but some of the messages said things like, "Please send some help, something's outside the maintenance door, and it's trying to get in. Oh God. Oh dear God, please send me some help. Ma, I'm at work and something is chasing me in the sewers. It's gonna..." And many more. We tried requesting the phone companies to help us triangulate the position of the signal, but it was no use. The location data was corrupted for several reasons. So we got a bunch of other officers together and we began a search party, which meant we needed to go down into the sewers to search for them. I was able to gather a team made up of these 5 people: Private Barney Jack, Corporal Leslie Hopgard, Private James Tidburk, Sergeant Finn Lack, and Private David Markle. Our first idea was to check around the workers' vehicles. Forensics had already searched the vehicles, but you never know. After that, we'd search the surrounding areas, and then, if all else failed, we'd go down into the sewers and search there. When we reached the parking lot area, we searched around the vehicles of the missing workers, and we found strange pieces of a note that, when put together, said rules. Number 1, if you hear crying, stop moving and turn off all electronics. Wait for the crying to stop. 2, if the crying is next to you after following step 1, don't move a muscle. It can sense you. 3, if you're walking towards the tunnel exit and the manhole hatch shuts, hide. It is starting its hunt. 4, if a hunt is started and you can't hide, play dead. It'll assume you're dead. 5, don't play dead if you can hide. It can see through the lie. 6, if you find its room, then do not enter. 7, if you enter its room, then run. 8, if you hear footsteps other than yours, hide. 9, if you hear a child's singing, don't move. 10, if you find bloody water, run. 11, if you hear whispers in a room, don't enter. 12, don't run unless you need to. It can hear you. 13, if the tunnel suddenly gets really bright, close your eyes and sit down. I read it aloud to my team. This sent chills down our spines. Like, for real, who wrote this? Why did they write this? Who or what is it? Is this a joke or a prank? Either way, we have to get to the bottom of this. We placed the note in an evidence bag and stored it in our vehicle. Afterwards, we searched the surrounding areas and found nothing. This meant we had to enter the place I did not want to enter, that being the sewers. These sewers were inactive since the city was working on the tunnels in this area, but that doesn't mean there isn't any human feces. Yuck. Anyways, we entered the sewers and decided that my partner David and I would go left, while Finn, Leslie, and Barney would go right. James would stay up top with a radio in case we needed backup or if we get lost. After entering the sewers, my partner David and I, Team 1, turned on our flashlights and ventured down towards the left, while the other 3, Team 2, ventured right. It didn't smell pleasant at all down there. While we were walking, we heard a child singing, so I told everyone to stop moving and turn off their flashlights. We waited, and I felt some cold, wet hands touch mine. My instinct reaction was to jerk my hand away, but I remembered the rule, and refrained from moving my hand out of fear of what would happen. We waited for what felt like an hour before the singing stopped. We decided to continue a bit further, but this time with our pistols drawn and ready. About an hour passed by, and we found a fork in the tunnels. The tunnel split 2 ways. My partner said we should stick together and refrain from splitting up, especially after what we experienced a few moments ago. David and I agreed and we went left. About 15 minutes go by and we hear screams from down the tunnel. It sounded like Team 2 is in trouble. We turned around and ran to the last known location of Team 2. When we got there, we found all 3 of them dead in the tunnel. They had this odd black liquid oozing from every hole in their body. The rest of us decided to go back to James and call the search off, and to get the area locked down. Whatever happened to Team 2, it damn sure wasn't friendly. When we got back to the surface, James wasn't there. For a second, we thought he might have wandered in when he heard the screams. I told David to call for backup, and no matter what, not to return inside the tunnel. My partner and I went in to search for James. We went down past the bodies of Team 2, which had begun decomposing at an alarming rate. When we passed their bodies, we found bloody water dripping from the walls. I looked at my partner and told him to run. We ran back down the tunnel and continued doing so until no more blood oozed out of the walls. We took a minute to catch our breaths. We had ran all the way to the fork in the tunnel. We decided to venture down the left side together, and we wandered down that way for a while. After about an hour, we found James. I don't know how he got on this side of the tunnel, but here he was. He was bent over, throwing up on the tunnel floor. I shined my flashlight over at him and asked if he was alright. He looked at me and said, "Where the hell were you guys? I heard screaming and called for backup. Then I came down here. I found one of the workers' bodies. He was coughing up vomit. He pointed towards a maintenance hatch. A body was sitting up against the wall. The black liquid was oozing out of the worker's body. And this body was nearly all just skin and bones. I got James up, and we, along with my partner, went down the maintenance hatch. When we got down there, we found another body. This one was right slumped over and completely covered in the black liquid. Between us and where the body resided, there was a small fenced, chain-linked access gateway. It was unlocked. We ventured through it with our weapons drawn. I peeked around the corner and saw one of the workers crawling towards a little girl. The girl was around 8 to 10 years of age and had black hair. Her eyes were hard to see due to the dimly lit maintenance lights that glowed red. The city worker saw me and yelled, "Please, I have to save her." Me and my partner walked over to him cautiously. He was covered in blood and his leg was twisted 360 degrees and was completely broken. I looked at him and said, "Okay, but first we need to get you out of here." I grabbed him and picked him up and carried him to the exit. But when I said what I said, the little girl screamed and screeched loudly. It hurt all our ears. I looked over at her, and the black liquids started surging out of her. Every pore of her skin, every hole of her body, and it was coming towards us. We started running. I was still carrying the worker, and we turned the corner to the right and headed up the access ladder. James followed up the rear and did his best to keep the liquid away from us while we hoisted the worker up the ladder. We got the worker out, and when I went to grab James, the liquid got him, and he screamed for help while shooting his pistol rapidly at the little girl. She was laughing maniacally at his attempts to kill her. She then choked him to death with the liquid and drowned him in it. We grabbed the worker and continued carrying him and running as fast as we could towards the exit. When we got to the exit, we were nearly out of breath, although we couldn't take a breather. In the distance, we heard maniacal laughing and rapid footsteps moving towards us from down the way we just came. I yelled to David and he looked over and down the hatch. I told him to help us get the worker out fast. We got the worker out and my partner told me to go up the hatch and that he would cover my 6. When I got out and I turned around and my partner was climbing out, but then the girl was behind him. The hatch closed and all we could hear was him screaming and shooting. until finally we heard bones crunching and his screams stopped. I sat down and turned towards the others. An entire SWAT team was there getting ready to venture into the sewers to apprehend the suspect. I walked over to the command vehicle and told the captain everything that happened. After I had told the captain everything, he asked me to go get David. When I went to get him, the SWAT team was already heading into the tunnels, and a man in a black suit with black shades was talking to the city worker. I told David to follow me to the captain. The captain debriefed us and sent us to the man in the black suit. After that, they sent us to the ambulance to go get checked out, and finally sent us back to the police station. While in the lounge, getting out of our uniforms and switching back into our civilian clothes, David asked what happened down there. I told him everything, and it shocked him greatly. I'm not sure what happened to that girl, or the city worker, or the SWAT team, but all I know is I still have nightmares of the incident. The screams of my partner, James, and the rest of the team, Team 2, are seared into my brain. I moved cities since then, and I try not to speak to anyone about it. I looked on the news and social media seeing if any news had gotten out about the incident, but nothing. I guess that the man in the black suit was some type of agent from the government or something, sent to cover up everything. I still feel like they're watching me, though. Hey guys, thank you for listening to today's Creepypasta, and I hope you enjoyed. I do have a podcast called The Murder House Radio Show. Check it out. The link will be in the description below. It is a true crime podcast. But if you did like, comment, subscribe, and share for more. Hit the bell notification when you subscribe and select all to get all notifications whenever I upload. I upload 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, at least one video a day. Now, all the long episodes and full series of creepypastas are on all major podcasting platforms under the name deadly_zone_narrations. There will also be a link for it in the description. Also, go follow all the social media accounts. They are in the description below. I do have a subreddit called Deadly Narrations. The link will be in the description. Also in the description below are the sources to the creepypasta and the music used, so go check those out. Let me know what creepypasta you'd like to hear, or if you have your own you'd like me to narrate, or if you have a creepypasta series you would like to hear. Send them to me on any of the social medias in the DMs, or to my email address, which is also in the description, or leave them in the comments below. Also in the description below is the author's social medias if they have any listed. But that's it for today's creepypasta. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time in the Deadly Zone, stay deadly and stay spooky.